Hello guys, today we will talk about JavaScript. You know that JavaScript is untyped programming language, but is it strength or weakness? And if it is a strength, why you may heard such terms like lack of static types and weak typing. Let's figure it out. Very simple code here. We have movie object with some properties like name, year, array of actors and ratings object. Below we're just printing this data in the console. By the way, in case you wonder is it JavaScript code, what is let, what construction on the line 16 means, this is ECMAScript 6 version. I will left a link on its documentation in the description box. And because I use ECMAScript 6, you can see I run script not from Node, but from Babel node. Okay, so what we have in the result? We can see movie's name and year of release, list of actors with characters, names and its rating. The question here is how we've got movie object from some API. Does this API guarantee the structure and types or not? Let's look what will happen with our script in case if API will return not exactly the object as we expect. In first scenario, we may not have movie object at all. It will be not defined. What will happen with our script then? It crashed with the error movie is not defined. What does it mean for our users actually? They will not see anything on the page that comes from the code below this error. Our application is broken. As a scenario, movie object exists, but it doesn't have name property. Application works, but user interface of this page is not the best. User may wonder what is undefined. Is it new movie? The same problem will be in case if name property will be defined with null value or with empty string. Next scenario, let's say movie doesn't have actors. Bam, our application just crashed again. We are using map method for undefined variable. If API will return null in actors property, crashed again. If an object, crashed again. If an empty array, in this case user will see cast title without any information in it, but user interface problem is back. Moving to the next property, ratings. If we will not have IMDb property in a ratings object, bad interface. If we will not have whole ratings property in movie object, page is down. So let's summarize what we just saw. Number one, if we cannot trust our data, we may have problems with types, like in case when I applied map method to actors property, which was not an array. Number two, if some data will be empty, user's experience with the application will be not good. Number three, again, if we cannot guarantee structure of the object, we will have errors by accessing to the not defined properties. But before we will make our script safer, let's remember some JavaScript basics. What types JavaScript has? String, number, boolean, and object. Let's see what types have different values. Type of null value is an object. Type of undefined is undefined. Type of 0 is number. Type of an empty string is string. Type of an empty object is an object. Type of an empty array is an object. Nice. So if we need to check if variable is undefined, number or string, we can easily do it with reading its type. But how to identify if the value is null, an object, or an array? In all three cases, JavaScript type of function will return object in the result, right? So, to identify if the variable is an object or an array, we may check that its type is an object and its value is not a null. Okay, one problem solved, but still, how to differentiate an object and an array? The array has length method, but the object doesn't have it. So if variable will be an array, its type will be an object, and by calling length method, we will get some number in the result. Now we will apply all these checks to the variables in our code. Starting from the line 15, we need to check that movie is an object, not a null, and has properties. It also should have name property that should have string type and to be not empty. Because if we don't have movie's name, it makes no sense to show other information. Next, on the line 19, we are checking that year property is a number and it is not empty. Only in this case we will print it. On the line 22, we are checking that actor's property is an array. Remember, we need to check that its type is an object and its value is not a null. And we are also checking that arrow is not empty. And so on for all variables. Now let's test our new script. What will be in case if name is not defined? User will not see movie information at all. Good. If name will be null, the same, no information will be appeared. If year property will be null, user just will not see information about release year. If year will be undefined, if year will be string or not a number, same correct behavior. If actor's property will be not an arrow but an object, no errors, user just will not see information about actors. If actors will be empty arrow, same correct behavior. And let's test with ratings property. If it is not defined, user will not see information about movies rating. If only IMDb rating is specified, user will see only this rating. No errors, no crashes, no bad user interface. But what was the price for it? Let's compare previous and current code. You see that new, safer code is 3 times bigger and much more messy. That means it will be difficult to support and extend it in the future. Can we do something about it? Yes, something we can do. But first, let me introduce Lambda library. If you use underscore or lodash and didn't hear about Lambda, definitely check it out. I don't want to talk about it now, but in case if you are interested why it is better, read introduction on the homepage. For our small piece of code, we will need 2 functions. First is type function. Look at this example. In case of object, Lambda type function will return an object. For number, number, for boolean, boolean, for string, string. In case of null, Lambda will return null, not an object as plain type of function. And in case of array, Lambda will return array. Woohoo! That means that we don't need to have all this manipulation with excluding null by checking on object and arrow and other fancy stuff that we did before. Other handy function is empty. Again, before, in order to check if string is empty, we had to check it on the empty string value. To check the error is empty, we had to check the length of the error, etc. But with isEmpty randos function, we can use same function for any type, and it will encapsulate all this logic in it. We are coming back to our code and we'll see how we can improve it. I added 4 helpers functions. On the line number 17, we have isNotEmptyArray prop function that will check if some particular property in the object is an array and that it is not empty. Similar functions we have for number, string and object. And below I just replaced all these messy checks with new functions. Line 24. I am checking if movie is an object and if it has name property that is string and that is not empty. Line 25. Checking if year property is a number and is not empty. Line 28. Checking if actors property is an array and is not empty. Let's now test it a bit to recheck that everything works as expected. Good, it works. Now we will compare the code with previous version. Amount of lines is almost the same, but it's much more readable now. But do you like this code? Do you want to check variables type all over the application? No? Me neither. This is because all this time we were fighting with consequences. But the root of this problem is that we cannot trust our data. Why? Because JavaScript is untyped programming language, and this is big headache, as you just could see. So what be the better solution? Change language? Kidding? Or maybe not, whatever. To solve it in the JavaScript, we can use library that will take care about typization for our data. Such library like tcomp, for example, if we would define type class for our movie object and validate data from the API by creating this object, later on we could guarantee we have this specific structure and these specific types. That will allow us to write clean and readable code as we had in the example number 1. This is all for today. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye.